You're watching 7th Circle Gaming, and today on the channel we're going to analyze the game I've always intended to analyze ever since the channel began, or even before, Kingdom Come Deliverance, as if the title card didn't give it all away. Oh well. Either way, with that said, we're going to move on to the full disclosure. Like we always do, I'll invite you to pause the video now and read through these at your leisure. Or if you'd prefer not to, we'll move right along to the screenshots. And the first screenshot out of the three that we're going to share with you is what players are going to see as they interact with the world on a normal basis. This we might call the exploration mode of the game. Now, what we're seeing here is a Bohemian town circa the 15th century with a minimalistic user interface. The thing on the top right is just a tutorial indicating that this is from very, very early in the game. The game also has story interludes which look very much like this screen. Of course, players who have played through this game once or twice before might recognize this particular interaction. We have removed the dialogue because we're not going to provide any spoilers for the game. What we do want to draw your attention to is the seeming high amount of historical accuracy to this scene. The more historian-minded amongst you might recognize everything that we're seeing is appropriate to late 15th century Central Europe. Certainly the building structure is very timber built, wattle and daub perhaps, and the dress is somewhat appropriate to the 15th century 1400s. Now, that's all the history that we're going to talk about. The next thing that we are going to mention is the third screenshot, which is the map. That's one of the third major thing that players are going to be spending their time looking at. And again, it is seemingly appropriate to the time period, very reminiscent of things like the Mappa Mundi or the illuminated manuscripts of the period. So nothing unusual, it's all about the historical fidelity. And the less said about that, the better. You're welcome to look at this at your leisure and again pause. But for right now, we're going to move on and start taking a look at scores. And we start, as we always do, with Immersion. And Kingdom Come Deliverance is earning a 14 out of 15 for Immersion. The game world, as you saw, is told through a first-person perspective. It's obviously late medieval Europe. No fantasy at all, not necessarily even low fantasy. It's no fantasy, high realism. The map view is overhead. The game is also going to attempt to use player agency to get players invested into the game world. Obviously, player choice is going to play something of an impact on the game world, and more importantly, however, how the character develops. This is not the sort of game where simply killing a couple of sand crabs is going to magically make the player a master lock or picklock or lockpick. And players are going to have to spend time with picking locks in order to obtain skills in lockpicking or picklocking. The game is also going to be using statistics focus to get players invested into the game world. Obviously, objects in game have statistics attached. Most of these are going to be clothing items. One interesting statistic or variable that in-game items have is dirty, bloody, or in other ways soiled. That, of course, is going to impact other statistics. Another thing that the game is going to do to attempt to invest players into the game world is it has a story, which we saw earlier, and all of the in-game events are told as part of a larger plot through those story interludes, with, appropriately enough, some player choices that players can make during those conversations. Finally, the game is going to be using audio to get players invested into the game world. The music, as far as we can tell, is period appropriate. There's combat sounds that are period appropriate. The game does not have footstep sounds. Oh well. The one major thing the game doesn't have is appropriate accents. This is using the usual Shakespearean practice of assigning regional English accents or American accents to all of the characters. So very few, if any, German accents on offer. And with that little note, we're going to move on to difficulty. Kingdom Come Deliverance is earning a 3 out of 15 for difficulty. It only has basic difficulty options, normal and hard. It's possible that on the second or third playthrough more will be unlocked. The game can be played with a gamepad or a keyboard and mouse, although as we encountered during our time with our evaluation sessions with the gamepad, it didn't seem like certain activities were more challenging with the gamepad than they might have been with a mouse. So be aware of that. In general, though, it didn't seem like the commands were more complicated or more in-depth than any other games of this type of genre, that being the sword-fighting medieval life simulator. And on that note, we'll end our discussion of difficulty and move on to Chapter 3, Lasting Appeal. What is it that's going to keep this game installed on player hard drives and keep them coming back for a second or third time, and how much time should players be prepared to spend with it? Players should be prepared to spend a significant amount of time with the game. Yes, players can pick up additional tasks or quests by the handful, but their skills won't necessarily be up to that task until they've spent a significant amount of time with the game, because skills do seem to improve fairly slowly. A player might choose to play through the game a second or a third time just to see what different choices make, or what different choices produce, that being a Paragon or Renegade run. Players may choose to attempt the game in the most challenging way possible. Now, it is a story-based game, but Kingdom Come Deliverance does provide some possibilities for different decisions, and there is significant content. However, through the Steam Workshop at least, there is no mod support. It's certainly up to the player if they want to dig around the internet for additional mods, but that's not what we're discussing. And it goes without saying that Kingdom Come Deliverance is a massive game with a lot of things to do, and for that, the game has earned a 9 out of 15. And that's going to bring us on to Chapter 3, which is overall score. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance has earned an 8.67 out of 15 overall. And these next couple of statements are highly subjective, so we're going to caveat them with that. So throw a handful of salt over your left shoulder and your right. The game does seem to start a couple of times before it really lets players off of the lead or leash, so to speak. Now, players who are playing for sword combat might be better advised to try another game. Kingdom Come Deliverance really is trying to be, as much as anything else, seeming a medieval life simulator. More than it is simply about sword fighting or archery or anything of that vein. So, just something to note. And with that, I don't really think there is anything else to say about Kingdom Come Deliverance. So, congratulations, you've reached the end of the video. found something that we missed, or any other comments about Kingdom Come Deliverance, please leave those in the comments section below. We do have a couple of other games that we're certainly looking forward to analyzing, so be on the lookout for those. Click subscribe, do the bell, la la la, and from 7th Circle Gaming, good